"Get your crippled hands off that table," the thug snarled, punching the 72-year-old veteran squarely in the face. Blood trickled down the elderly man's weathered cheek, but he struggled to stay standing. The entire bar fell silent. No one intervened. The old man quietly opened his phone, dialed a single number, then lowered himself back onto his stool. 30 minutes later, engines roared outside. A Special Forces unit pulled up in front of the bar. Their commander walked in, eyes blazing. "Where's the man who laid a hand on my father?" Type respect if you believe some lines should never be crossed. Samuel Sam Warren was a 72-year-old retired Army Sergeant First Class. His gnarled hands had seen combat in Vietnam. His hunchback and permanent limp the result of a helicopter crash during his final tour. His quiet eyes carried memories few could comprehend. Now living alone after his wife's passing 3 years ago, Sam maintained a simple Saturday ritual. Visiting the Rusty Nail, the bar he once owned, to help clean tables, a habit that connected him to happier days. The worn cloth in his pocket was as much a part of him as the faded U.S. Army tattoo on his forearm and the metal brace supporting his right leg. The bar had changed hands years ago, but the new owners always welcomed him. Until that day, a group of unfamiliar men burst into the establishment, loud and confrontational from the moment they entered. Their leader, a burly man with close-cropped hair and tattooed forearms, commanded the room with unearned authority. His companions spread out, claiming space rather than requesting it. Sam noticed spilled beer pooling near their table. Without thinking, he reached with his cleaning cloth, the same way he had for decades. His movements were slower now, his back bent with age and old injuries, but his sense of duty remained unchanged. The leader's voice cut through the bar noise. "This table's mine. Can't you see you're too broken for this?" Before anyone could react, the man's fist connected with Sam's cheek. The sound, dull and sickening, silenced the room. Blood trickled down Sam's face as he stumbled backward, his metal leg brace scraping against the floor as he collided with bar stools. Not a single patron stood to help him. The bartender looked away, pretending to wipe glasses. The manager, Mike Collins, disappeared into the back office. Sam steadied himself against the wall, his military discipline evident even now. He didn't retaliate or raise his voice. Instead, he calmly reached for his phone and dialed the one number he knew by heart. Major Thomas Warren, his son and current commander of the 5th Special Forces Group. The phone rang just once before Thomas answered. "Dad? What's wrong?" Sam's voice remained steady despite the blood, now dripping onto his faded army jacket. "Son, there's been a situation at the Rusty Nail. Nothing serious." But Thomas knew his father never called during training exercises unless absolutely necessary. The tremor in Sam's usually unwavering voice told him everything he needed to know. "I'll be there soon. Stay put." Sam ended the call and pocketed his phone. The aggressor, emboldened by his first unchallenged assault, loomed closer, enjoying the spectacle of the old man's humiliation. "Who'd you call, Gimpy?" "The VA hospital." At Fort Belvoir, Major Thomas Warren was reviewing operation plans when his phone vibrated. Seeing his father's name flash on the screen sent an immediate jolt of concern through him. Sam never interrupted military duty. "Dad? What's wrong?" Thomas could hear the background noise of the bar, but it was a subtle strain in his father's voice that alarmed him most. Sam Warren had endured mortar fire without flinching, but now his voice carried an unfamiliar vulnerability. After ending the call, Thomas stood immediately. Years of combat decision-making condensed into a single moment. "Prepare the convoy," he commanded. "This is not a drill." His executive officer raised an eyebrow. "Sir, is this an official operation?" "No," Thomas replied, his voice steady. "This is family business, but make no mistake, it's just as important as any mission we've ever undertaken." Within minutes, 2 tactical vehicles and a command Humvee were prepped. Thomas had considered calling local police, but recognized a deeper principle at stake. This wasn't about revenge. It was about respect, something that couldn't be delegated to a police report. Outside the bar, Sam sat patiently on a wooden bench, blood still staining his cheek, phone and cleaning cloth still in hand. His years in the service had taught him that some battles require patience, not immediate reaction. The Army had trained him to assess, plan, and execute, not simply respond to provocation. He made one more call to his old Army unit, requesting confirmation that security cameras had captured the incident. The young duty officer recognized his name immediately. Sergeant First Class Warren? Sir, we'll retrieve that footage right away. Inside, the aggressors continued drinking, laughing about the crippled old man who hobbled away. The regular patrons remained silent, eyes down, pretending the incident hadn't happened. Their collective shame hung in the air, thicker than the cigarette smoke. One young server named Jenny whispered to another, "Shouldn't someone help him?" "Not worth getting involved with those guys," came the reply. 30 minutes after Sam's call, 2 armor Humvees and a command vehicle pulled up outside the Rusty Nail. The convoy's arrival alone caused conversations inside to fade into stunned silence. Major Thomas Warren stepped out, his uniform pristine, his posture rigid with controlled fury. He was followed by 6 Special Forces operators, men whose presence spoke of discipline and capability. They wore no visible weapons. Their authority was enough. Patrons who had been drinking by the windows stared in disbelief. Some pulled out phones to record the unusual sight, but none dared step outside. The squad moved with practiced precision, securing the perimeter before Thomas entered the establishment. The soldiers positioned themselves along the bar's entrance, a clear message that no one would be leaving without authorization. 2 operators remained with Sam, offering him a clean cloth for his wounded face and the respectful distance a veteran deserves. "Sir, the medical team is standing by if you need them," one soldier said softly. Sam shook his head. "Just make sure my son doesn't burn the place down." Thomas entered the bar, his voice cutting through the silence. "Who struck Sergeant First Class Samuel Warren?" No one answered. The aggressors exchanged nervous glances, their earlier bravado evaporating in the face of actual military discipline. A soldier projected video footage onto the wall. Crystal clear security camera images showing the unprovoked assault on Sam. The timestamp showed it had happened exactly 31 minutes earlier. Thomas addressed the bar manager, who had finally reappeared. "The man you sent outside rebuilt this establishment after returning from Vietnam. He's my father." Thomas's voice remained controlled, professional, the same tone he used commanding missions. But those who knew him recognized the fury beneath his composure. The man who had thrown the punch stammered, I didn't know who he was." Thomas stepped closer, his voice dropping even lower. "When you strike someone because you perceive weakness, you don't need to know who they are. You've already revealed who you are." The entire bar held its breath as Thomas continued. "That man you struck has a Purple Heart and a Bronze Star. He pulled 3 wounded soldiers from a burning helicopter while his own leg was shattered. He's attended the funeral of every man who ever served under his command. You didn't just hit an old man. You struck a living embodiment of sacrifice." Thomas turned to his team. "Secure the premises." With military precision, they positioned themselves at key points throughout the bar. One operator gently assisted the manager to make a formal police report. Another retrieved the security footage for evidence. Local police arrived shortly after, taking the aggressor into custody for assault. As he was led away in handcuffs, the reality of his actions finally seemed to register on his face. Outside, Thomas approached his father, who still sat patiently on the bench. The son, now a decorated commander himself, stood at attention and saluted before embracing Sam. The entire Special Forces team lined up, each saluting the elderly veteran with the respect reserved for the highest officers. Sam nodded acknowledgement, his posture straightening despite his years and injuries, muscle memory from decades of service responding to familiar gesture. Local residents had gathered, witnessing the unusual scene. Children pointed at the military vehicles. Adults whispered explanations. An important lesson unfolded before them about consequences, respect, and the invisible bonds between those who serve. Later that evening, after the police had finished their report and the bar had closed early, Thomas sat with his father at their family home. "You could have handled him yourself," Thomas said. "I've seen you take down men twice your size during training, even with your bad leg." Sam smiled faintly. I didn't call you because I couldn't defend myself. I called because someone needed to defend what's right. I'm sorry I didn't get there sooner, Thomas replied. Sam shook his head. Son, there are two kinds of responses in this world. Those that come too late, and those that come exactly when needed. Thomas studied his father's face. The fresh bruise forming beneath his eye, the small bandage covering the cut on his cheekbone, the dignity that no assault could diminish. Why didn't anyone in that bar help you? He asked, the question that had been burning inside him. The same reason people cross the street when they see someone in trouble, Sam replied. They've forgotten that standing together is what makes us strong. 1 week later, a new sign hung in a rusty nail. Built by a warrior, protected by his legacy. Sam still visited on Saturdays, still wiped down tables, but now patrons stood respectfully when he entered. His injury, once seen as weakness, was now recognized as a badge of honor. Evidence of sacrifice rather than limitation. A curious young boy approached him one afternoon. Sir, did you really fight in Vietnam? Sam smiled gently. Yes, but what makes me proudest is having a son who knows right from wrong. Major Thomas visited whenever deployment allowed. During one such visit, he said, Dad, I'm sorry I arrived 30 minutes late that day. Sam's weathered face brightened. No, you arrived exactly when respect needed to be restored. The incident sparked change beyond the bar. Local schools invited veterans to speak. The community established a program connecting younger veterans with their elders. Even the friends of the aggressor returned, this time with respect, asking to hear Sam's stories. The bar became a living testament to something vital. Connections between generations of service create an unbreakable chain of accountability. Number 72-year-old should have to defend himself. But when someone who once defended this nation is struck, they deserve to stand unharmed. Sam never sought recognition for his service. Like many of his generation, he believed duty was its own reward. But that day in the bar taught everyone a powerful lesson. Respect isn't automatic. Sometimes it must be demonstrated with unwavering resolve. The invisible threads connecting those who serve aren't severed by time or distance. They remain strong, ready to pull tight when needed most. What would you have done if you witnessed what happened in that bar? Would you have spoken up or looked away? Has someone ever underestimated you because of your age or appearance? We'd love to hear your stories of respect earned the hard way. If this veteran's quiet dignity inspired you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of everyday heroes standing their ground. Leave a comment telling us where you're from and whether you believe respect for our veterans is still important in today's world. Because respect isn't given. It's earned, sometimes in the most unexpected ways.